The void between stars. The colony ship Unity drifted through the silent darkness between star systems, carrying 12,000 souls toward their new home. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck, watching the distant stars blur past the transparent aluminum viewport. After 3 years of travel, they were only weeks away from Kepler 442 bits, humanity's first true colony beyond Earth. Sarah's weathered hands gripped the railing as she remembered the day they'd left Earth orbit. The crowds cheering below, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. She promised to deliver these people safely to their new world, a promise that now seemed impossible to keep. "Captain, we have a situation." Commander James Mitchell's voice crackled through the intercom, tension evident in every syllable. Sarah's boots clicked against the metal floor as she made her way to the bridge. The crew's faces told her everything she needed to know before Mitchell even spoke. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Multiple contacts on long-range sensors, Mitchell reported, his dark skin gleaming with perspiration. They appeared out of nowhere. 15 vessels, closing fast. The main screen flickered to life, showing angular ships that defied human understanding of physics. They moved without visible propulsion, gliding through space like predators stalking prey. Sarah had seen every ship design in Earth's databases. These weren't human. "First contact protocol," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the ice forming in her stomach. "Open all communication channels." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's xenolinguist, frantically worked her console, broadcasting on all frequencies. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, peaceful imagery. The response came instantly, not through their communication systems, but directly into their minds. The voice was cold, metallic, devoid of emotion. "Human vessel, you have entered Vectar sovereign space. Your primitive technology and aggressive expansion threaten galactic stability. Surrender immediately for processing, or face complete annihilation." The bridge fell silent. 3 years of travel, 12,000 lives, all their hopes and dreams. And now this. Sarah felt the weight of every eye on her, waiting for her command. "Can we fight?" she asked quietly. Lieutenant Commander Park, their tactical officer, shook his head. "Their energy signatures are off the charts. Our weapons wouldn't scratch their paint." "Can we run?" "They're 3 times faster than us, minimum," reported their navigation officer. Sarah closed her eyes, thinking of the families sleeping in the habitat sections, the children who'd been born during the journey, the scientists who'd dedicated their lives to this mission. They thought they were explorers, pioneers. Instead, they'd become prey. "Open a direct channel," Sarah commanded. The alien voice returned, filling the bridge with its mechanical precision. "Speak, human. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth colony ship Unity. We come in peace, seeking only a new home for our people. We had no knowledge of your territory. We mean no harm." "Irrelevant. Humanity's expansion must be contained. Your species shows dangerous adaptability and aggression. You will surrender for processing and containment." "What does processing mean?" Sarah asked, though she suspected she didn't want to know. "Genetic cataloging, neural mapping, permanent relocation to containment facilities. Your expansion ends here." Sarah's hands clenched into fists. After everything humanity had overcome, wars, plagues, climate disasters, to end like this, rounded up like cattle by beings who saw them as nothing more than pests. "We need time to consider," Sarah said. "You have 1 planetary rotation. Decide." The connection severed, leaving them in silence. Sarah turned to face her crew, seeing her own determination reflected in their eyes. "We're not giving up," she declared. "Humanity didn't claw its way to the stars just to surrender at the first challenge. Wake all department heads. Emergency meeting in 10 minutes." As her crew scattered to their duties, Sarah stared at the alien fleet surrounding them. They were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and out of options. But they were human, And humans had a long history of doing the impossible when their backs were against the wall. The meeting room filled quickly. Engineers, scientists, military advisors, the best minds on the ship gathered around the holographic display showing their predicament. 15 alien vessels formed a perfect sphere around the Unity, their weapons ports glowing with barely contained energy. Ideas, Sarah said simply. I don't care how crazy. We're not surrendering our people to alien concentration camps. Chief Engineer Rodriguez spoke first. Our fusion reactors could be overloaded. Create an explosion big enough to maybe damage one ship while killing everyone aboard. Dr. Vasquez interrupted. No. What about negotiation? Suggested Dr. Michael Chen, the colony's lead sociologist and Sarah's husband. Maybe we can offer something they want. They want us contained, Sarah replied. That's not negotiable for them. Young Lieutenant Torres, barely out of the academy, raised her hand hesitantly. What if we don't fight their technology? What if we fight their assumptions? All eyes turned to her. Sarah nodded encouragingly. They called us primitive, aggressive, dangerous. They see us as a threat because of our adaptability. But what if we show them something they don't expect? Something they can't compute? Like what? Rodriguez asked. Torres pulled up the alien fleet formation on the holo display. Look at their positioning. Perfect mathematical precision. Their communication. Cold, logical. They're expecting us to respond with aggression or submission. Those are the only two options in their worldview. Dr. Vasquez's eyes lit up. Binary thinking. They're not prepared for a third option. Which is? Sarah prompted. Torres smiled, a mix of fear and determination. Human chaos, human creativity, human compassion. Things that don't fit in their equations. The room erupted in discussion. Ideas flew back and forth, each more audacious than the last. Scientists proposed using their hydroponic gardens to create a massive biological display. Engineers suggested reconfiguring their communication array to broadcast human art and music. The ship's teachers wanted to have the children create messages of peace. Sarah listened, feeling something she hadn't expected, hope. Not hope for victory in any traditional sense, but hope that humanity could face extinction with dignity, creativity, and unity. Do it all, she decided. Every department, every person on this ship, contribute something. Show them what humanity really is, not through our weapons or our technology, but through our souls. The next 20 hours transformed the Unity. The entire ship became a canvas for human expression. Engineers rigged the exterior lights to create massive art displays. Musicians organized the first interstellar concert, broadcasting everything from Mozart to modern compositions. Chefs prepared meals using recipes from every culture on Earth, filling the ship with aromas that spoke of home. Children painted on every available surface. Scientists shared their research freely, transmitting decades of peaceful discoveries. Poets wrote in 100 languages, their words flowing into space like prayers. And at the center of it all, Sarah stood on the bridge as their deadline approached. The Vectar fleet remained motionless, perfect in its threatening geometry. 10 minutes, Mitchell reported. Sarah nodded, activating the ship-wide communication. This is your captain. In a few minutes, we'll face whatever comes. But I want you to know, I've never been prouder to be human than I am right now. Whatever happens, we've shown the universe who we really are. She closed the channel and turned to face the view screen. Open communication to the Vectar. The alien voice returned, unchanged. Have you decided, humans? We have, Sarah replied. We choose neither surrender nor aggression. We choose to be ourselves. With that signal, the Unity erupted in a symphony of human expression. Every external display activated simultaneously. Music poured into space, a child's lullaby followed by a tribal drumbeat, a symphony merging into jazz. Images cascaded across the hull. The Mona Lisa morphing into children's crayon drawings, mathematical equations dancing with poetry. The hydroponic gardens vented their atmosphere in controlled bursts, creating clouds of pollen and seeds that sparkled in the starlight like a biological aurora. Every person on the ship contributed something. A song, a dance, a moment of laughter, a prayer in their ancestral language. For 5 minutes, the Unity became a beacon of human culture, creativity, and chaos. The alien fleet, for the first time, wavered in its perfect formation. Then silence. The displays faded. The music ended. 12,000 humans held their breath, waiting. The Vectar response, when it came, was different. The voice still metallic, but now tinged with something that might have been confusion. This does not compute. Your response is illogical, inefficient, chaotic. Yes, Sarah agreed. It's human. A longer pause. Ship sensors detected massive data streams between the alien vessels. They were communicating frantically among themselves. Finally, your species is incomprehensible. Our models cannot predict your behavior. You respond to extinction threats with art, with music, with biological inefficiency. We respond with who we are. Sarah said simply. We're not perfect. We're not purely logical. We're messy, creative, emotional beings who find beauty in chaos and strength in unity. We don't want to threaten anyone. We just want to live to grow, to add our voice to the cosmic chorus. The alien fleet's formation began to change, ships pulling back from their aggressive posture. When the voice returned, it carried something new: uncertainty. The Galactic Council must be informed. Your species represents an unknown variable. You are unprecedented. Sarah felt her knees weaken with relief as the weapons signatures on the alien ships powered down. They weren't safe yet, but they were alive. And sometimes, that was enough. We await the Council's decision, the Vectar continued. You will remain here. We will observe, study, try to understand. As the communication ended, the bridge erupted in a mixture of tears, laughter, and exhausted celebration. They hadn't won in any conventional sense, but they had survived, and more importantly, they had remained true to themselves. Sarah sank into her captain's chair, feeling the tension of the last day finally catching up with her. Mitchell appeared at her side with a cup of coffee. Real coffee, not the synthesized stuff. Think they'll let us go? He asked quietly. Sarah sipped the coffee, savoring its warmth. I don't know, but we showed them something today. Something they'd never seen before. What's that? She smiled, thinking of the incredible display of humanity they'd just presented. That sometimes the greatest strength isn't in your weapons or your technology. Sometimes it's in your ability to be exactly who you are, especially when everything is on the line. Outside the viewport, the alien ships maintained their watch, but the threat of immediate annihilation had passed. The Unity drifted in space, its crew united in a way they'd never been before. They'd faced extinction and responded with art. They'd met force with creativity. They'd shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't destruction. It was the indomitable human spirit. And in the vast emptiness between stars, that spirit burned brighter than ever. The waiting began. But for the first time since the aliens appeared, Sarah felt hope. Real hope. They thought humanity had no chance. But humanity had something the Vectar couldn't compute, couldn't predict, couldn't understand. They had each other. When the stars align. 3 days passed in tense silence. The Vectar ships maintained their spherical formation around the Unity, neither advancing nor retreating. Their weapons remained powered down, but their presence was a constant reminder of humanity's precarious position. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the observation lounge, watching the alien vessels through tired eyes. She hadn't slept more than a few hours since the encounter began. Behind her, the ship hummed with nervous energy as 12,000 souls waited for their fate to be decided by beings they didn't understand. Captain, Dr. Elena Vasquez entered quietly, holding 2 steaming cups of tea. Thought you could use this. Sarah accepted the cup gratefully, inhaling the fragrant steam. Jasmine, my grandmother's blend. She always said it helped her think clearly during difficult times. They stood in companionable silence for a moment before Elena spoke again. The linguistic analysis is complete. The Vectar weren't just confused by our display. They were disturbed. Disturbed. Their entire civilization is built on predictive algorithms. They've encountered hundreds of species, and every single one responded to threats with either aggression or submission. But we, Elena smiled slightly. We broke their universe. Before Sarah could respond, the ship's communication system crackled to life. Not the general alert, but her private channel, the one reserved for the most critical messages. Captain, to the bridge immediately. Sarah ran, her tea forgotten. The bridge crew was already at their stations when she arrived, faces a mix of excitement and apprehension. Report, she ordered. Mitchell pointed to the main screen. New contacts, Captain. Dozens of them, but they're not Vectar. The display showed ships of radically different designs approaching from multiple vectors. Some were crystalline and delicate, others bulbous and organic. Still others seemed to be made of pure energy. It was like looking at a cosmic art gallery of spacecraft design. The Vectar are hailing us, communications reported. On screen. The familiar metallic voice filled the bridge, but now it carried an undertone of anxiety. Human vessel. The Galactic Council has responded to our report. Representatives from member species are arriving. This is unprecedented. Sarah stepped forward. Are we in danger? Unknown. Your response to our ultimatum has been transmitted throughout the galactic network. Many species wish to observe, to understand. The Council has never convened for a single ship before. As if on cue, new voices began flooding their communication channels. Unlike the Vectar's cold precision, these were varied, melodious, harsh, whispering, some that seemed to speak in colors rather than sounds. Dr. Vasquez worked frantically at her station. Captain, I'm receiving communication requests in over 40 different linguistic paradigms. They all want to talk to us. Sarah felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. First contact had become first contacts, plural. Can we handle that many simultaneous communications? I'll need help, Vasquez admitted. But we have several xenolinguists among the colonists, and our AI can handle basic translation protocols. Do it. Set up communication centers throughout the ship. Let's talk to everyone who wants to talk to us. Over the next several hours, the Unity transformed into humanity's first interstellar embassy. Scientists, teachers, artists, and even children found themselves in conversation with beings beyond their wildest imagination. In the botanical gardens, Dr. James Park discussed ecosystem management with the Phylathi, a species that had evolved from plant-like organisms. Their ship literally grew itself from seeds, and they were fascinated by humanity's relationship with agriculture. You consume other life forms. The Phylathi ambassador rustled, its leaf-like appendages quivering. Yet you also nurture them, help them grow, form emotional attachments to them. Dr. Park smiled, tenderly touching a tomato plant. We're complicated that way. We see the beauty in life even as we depend on it for survival. We're part of nature, not separate from it. Fascinating. The Vectar classify you as aggressive predators, but you show characteristics of nurturers, symbiotes. You are multiple things simultaneously. In the ship's small theater, composer Maria Santos conducted a joint performance with the Resonance, beings who existed primarily as sound waves. Together, they created music that transcended species barriers, harmonies that made crew members weep without knowing why. Your music contains imperfection. The lead resonant vibrated. Deliberate dissonance. Why? Maria's fingers danced over her keyboard. Because perfect harmony is beautiful, but it's the tension, the resolution, the unexpected notes that give music its emotional power. We find beauty in the flaws. The resonance frequency shifted, their equivalent of surprise. The Vectar cannot process deliberate imperfection. They seek optimal solutions. You seek experience. We seek connection, Maria replied, launching into a jazz improvisation. Music is how we touch each other's souls. Meanwhile, in the engineering section, Chief Rodriguez found himself in deep technical discussions with the builders, a mechanical species that had long ago transferred their consciousness into artificial bodies. Your technology is primitive, the lead builder stated matter-of-factly, examining the Unity's fusion reactors. Yet you achieve functionality through. What is this approach? Rodriguez grinned, patting a patch of duct tape holding a secondary coupling in place. We call it jury rigging or making do. We don't always have perfect solutions, so we improvise. The builder's optical sensors flickered rapidly. Improvisation. Suboptimal solutions that function. This should not work, yet it does. You deliberately embrace inefficiency. We embrace creativity, Rodriguez corrected. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most elegant. It's the one you can build with what you have. The builder extended a mechanical appendage, interfacing directly with the ship's systems. After a moment, it withdrew, its metal form actually shuddering. Your code contains comments, jokes, emotional expressions. Engineering is art form. Everything humans do is art, Rodriguez said proudly. Even our machines have soul. Throughout the ship, similar exchanges occurred. Children drew pictures with beings of pure light. Chefs shared recipes with species that consumed energy directly from stars. Poets traded verses with entities that existed partially outside normal spacetime. On the bridge, Sarah monitored it all, feeling a sense of wonder she hadn't experienced since childhood. Humanity wasn't just surviving first contact. They were thriving in it. "Captain," Mitchell called out, his voice tight with concern. "The Vectar fleet is moving." Sarah's wonder evaporated, replaced by cold fear. On the tactical display, the Vectar ships were repositioning, their weapons beginning to charge. "Battle stations?" Mitchell asked. Before Sarah could respond, a new voice filled the bridge, ancient, wise, carrying the weight of eons. "Stand down, Vectar Prime. The Council has reached a decision." The main view screen shifted, revealing a being that defied description. It seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, its form constantly shifting between states of matter and energy. "I am Concordance, speaker for the Galactic Council. We have observed. We have listened. We have learned." The Vectar commander's voice cut in, defensive and rigid. "The humans remain a threat. Their chaotic nature is precisely why they must be welcomed." Concordance interrupted. "For 10,000 cycles, our galaxy has grown stagnant. We expand, we categorize, we optimize. But we no longer grow. We no longer surprise ourselves." Sarah stepped forward, heart pounding. "Speaker Concordance, we only wish to find our place among the stars. We don't seek conflict. Yet conflict finds you," Concordance replied. "Because you represent change. The Vectar fear this. Others welcome it. The question is, what do humans choose?" Sarah thought of everything that had transpired. Their creative response to annihilation, the connections forming throughout her ship, the laughter mixing with alien harmonies in the corridors. "We choose growth," she said firmly. "We choose connection. We choose to add our voice to the galactic community, not to dominate or submit, but to participate, to learn, to share, even knowing the dangers, the challenges, the species who will fear you, seek to contain you." Sarah smiled, thinking of humanity's long, difficult history. "Especially then. We've never had an easy path, but we've always found a way to keep moving forward, together." Concordance's form pulsed with what might have been approval. "The Council offers humanity provisional membership. You will be granted safe passage to your colony world. But know this, your species will be watched. Some will test you. Others will fear you. Many will not understand you. And some," another voice added, warm, multi-harmonic, will learn to love you. This came from the resonant collective, their ship pulsing with musical light. The builders find your chaotic engineering instructive, added their representative. The Philothi wish to study your agricultural paradoxes, rustled their plant-like ambassador. One by one, species began declaring interest in cultural exchange, scientific collaboration, artistic fusion. The Vectar remained silent, their fleet holding position. What of the Vectar? Sarah asked. They still see us as a threat. Concordance turned its attention to the silent fleet. Prime Commander, what say you? After a long pause, the Vectar commander spoke, its voice subtly different. We do not understand humans. Their chaos disrupts our calculations. Their creativity defies our logic. But, another pause. Perhaps understanding is not required for coexistence. We will observe, study, attempt to create new predictive models. It wasn't friendship, but it was a beginning. Over the following days, the gathered fleet escorted the Unity to the edge of the Kepler system. Each species shared gifts, technological, cultural, artistic. The ship's databases swelled with new knowledge, new perspectives, new possibilities. As they approached their new home, Sarah stood once more in the observation lounge. This time, she wasn't alone. Representatives from a dozen species stood with her, watching the planet grow larger in the viewport. You realize, Concordance said, that your colony will become a focal point. Species will come to study you, to learn from you. Your chaotic nature has infected the galaxy with curiosity. Sarah chuckled. Humans have always been good at starting trends. Indeed. But be warned, not all attention will be benign. The galaxy is vast, and not all species are part of the council. Your creativity, your adaptability. These are strengths, but they may also paint targets on your backs. Sarah nodded soberly. We understand. But we've learned something important. Which is? She gestured to the diverse group gathered around them. That our greatest strength isn't in standing alone. It's in standing together. Human chaos works best when it's part of a larger harmony. As the Unity began its descent toward their new world, Sarah felt the weight of the future on her shoulders. They'd survived first contact through creativity and unity. They'd turned potential enemies into curious observers, some even into friends. But this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not with weapons or submission, but with art, music, chaos, and connection. They'd shown that sometimes the most powerful response to force wasn't counterforce. It was something unexpected, something beautiful, something utterly human. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant. They beckoned with promise, with challenge, with infinite possibility. And humanity, in all its glorious chaos, was ready to answer that call. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant. They beckoned with promise, with challenge, with infinite possibility. And humanity, in all its glorious chaos, was ready to answer that call. As their new sun rose over an alien horizon, painting unfamiliar skies in brilliant colors, 12,000 humans prepared to take their next great leap. They'd thought they had no chance against a technologically superior foe. But they discovered that their true strength lay not in what they could destroy, but in what they could create. Not in standing apart, but in standing together. The Vectar had thought humanity had no chance. The galaxy had learned otherwise. And this was only the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, not as conquerors of the stars, but as participants in a cosmic community they were only beginning to understand. They thought we had no chance, but we had each other. And in the end, that made all the difference.